Things were not going well for Allied forces in the Pacific in early 1942. The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor was followed by a disastrous series of setbacks and defeats. First Guam, then Burma, Hong Kong, Singapore, and the oil-rich Dutch East Indies all fell to the Japanese in rapid succession. On May 6th, General Wainwright surrendered the beleaguered American garrison on Corregidor Island to Japanese forces. Things looked very grim for the Americans. 1 month later, a massive Japanese naval task force, including 4 aircraft carriers, sailed toward the tiny atoll of Midway, 1,000 miles northwest of Hawaii. Admiral Yamamoto hoped to lure the American fleet into a trap and destroy it. In a bold move, Admiral Nimitz gathered every available ship and sent them north to challenge the Japanese head-on. Bob Serra of Springfield, Illinois, worked as a mechanic on the USS Yorktown's F-4F Wildcat fighters. The aircraft carrier barely survived the Battle of Coral Sea in May 1942, suffering a direct hit from a Japanese bomber. She limped back to Pearl Harbor, and following a Herculean effort by repair crews, 2 days later, the Yorktown steamed north towards Midway and her destiny. On June 4th, the Yorktown's bombers inflicted 3 lethal hits on the Japanese aircraft carrier Soryu. Later that day, the Japanese scored 3 direct bomb hits on the Yorktown, followed by 2 torpedo hits. The order soon went out: abandon ship, sending Sarah and hundreds of others into the oil-slick waters.
So we went down to the hangar deck, and they had mooring lines over the side, big 2-inch lines, and we went down one by one, and it was coming down so fast that when you hit the water, there was another guy on top of you, and I thought I was going to end right there. The line went into the water, and when you went down, you let go maybe 8-10 feet, because your hands was burning, on that big line. But the guys in the back of you, it was coming right on top of you. I thought I was going to end up right there. That I was thinking about being able to come back to the top of the water. And then ended up swallowing seawater, gasoline, and oil mixed. And then I got sick and started heaving. And I started paddling away from the ship. I swam around about 3-4 hours, I guess. At one time I was tired and I just lay back and relaxed, and I had a life jacket on, and I woke up and I couldn't see any ships spun around, and I had drifted away from them. Tide carried me out, and I was about 100 yards from the nearest ship, all by myself. So I paddled real fast to get back up in there. I just kept paddling up, and then a whaleboat came by from a destroyer or a cruiser, and they say that you can't sink a whaleboat. This one here, you couldn't even see the gunnels. The gunnels was right even with the water. It was so packed. And I grabbed a hold of it, and the coxswain said, "Oh, no more, no more." And I say, "How far are we from land?" And he says, 3 miles. I said, "Which way?" He says, "Straight down." So that I had paddled around probably another hour. Finally got close enough to a destroyer. They had cargo nets over the side, and the guys was hanging on the cargo nets. The ship was moving, and the guys on the ship was trying to get them aboard. It was a hell of a time there for a while.
America lost the USS Yorktown that day, but thanks to the skill and courage of a few dozen American carrier pilots, the Japanese lost 4 fleet carriers. It was a crushing defeat for the Japanese and changed the course of the war. From that point forward, the Americans were on the offensive in the Pacific.